Hello, everyone, and welcome back to eProcast. And today we've got a special guest. Today we'll be talking with him about challenges in opening a new business in sports industry, about entrepreneurship, and many more. The special guest who's joining me today is all over from England, or let's say South America, the founder of Sud America Coaching, Juan Gonzalez Mendia. Welcome to the show.
Hi, mate. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm good, good. How about you? Where
Yeah,
are you at? Where are you now?
I'm back in my study after our fail attempt for me to walk in the countryside and talk to you. That didn't work out, so it was pretty windy, to be honest. So back on it, back in my study at home in England, in the Midlands, enjoying this time at home, really. So
Yeah, thanks for taking the time and accepting to share your story to and also talk about what sharing and bringing value to other guys, to other gals who wanna join the industry, to potentially open a business or even start a career in sports industry. So looking forward to this one.
cool, my pleasure.
Sweet. Juan, if you can just share to all the listeners out there, because it's going to be listeners from all over the world, just share your story or your background, how you got into sports.
Yeah, well, I've always been to sports. I've always loved sports. Played a number of sports when I was younger, and then started to take rugby union a little bit more seriously. Ended up playing some representative rugby back at home in Argentina. Then I was fortunate enough to continue my university studies in America. So I've held a BA in sports science. I've done a master's in coaching. And then when I arrived here into the UK, I did a PGC, which is a postgrad in education. And now I'm currently going through my PhD with Leeds Beckett University. It was on standby, but hopefully we're getting back on it. Had a little injury halfway through the summer last year. It wasn't that little really, but and yeah, trying to get back on that. So yeah, as I said, I've been fortunate enough to study in America. I think the passion for sports over there is just out of this world. Even for minor sports like rugby union out there were loads of athletes, both female and male athletes, going through that path, which is great. So that enabled me to be able to study at a very low cost, which was fantastic. Yeah, I went back home. I went back to Argentina, worked in an independent school there for a couple of years, started doing all my to coaching level awards and things like that. I really wanted to go into performance back in those days when I was a lot younger. Um, then this education bug sort of struck me, and I've been in education most of my life, really. Went across to New Zealand to work in a school, and also work in some sort of performance environment around the Waikato area in the North Island, and then we moved back to the UK. That was in 2007, so it's been quite a few years now. And since then, I worked both in education and in some performance environment through the Rugby Football Union. I was fortunate enough to involve in the development pathway, which was fantastic, coaching kids between 15 and 19 years old that were representing their country. That was quite cool, actually. I've learned a lot in that process, met a lot of very, very good coaches that have influenced my journey, and I'm still working with some of them actually, which is great. And then I've moved into the education side of things, working with other adults, which was a new thing when I started. It was very different than working with children and teenagers. Yeah, since then I've been trying to develop learning environments, trying to support journeys around different stages of different coaches, all the way from grassroots community coaches to performance. So hence why a couple of years ago I founded South America Coaching, and the mission of the company, if there is such thing, is to try to develop learning environments, try to support them, and try to give the people that are in charge of those, or I rephrase that, people that tend to be in charge of those, some tools to facilitate the experience of the participants that they've got in their environments. So that's what we try to do.
Yeah, I actually can relate. I'm on my own. I'm also a referees educator,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm doing same things on behalf of World Rugby with the smaller countries, or the countries which are on course of development, where there are lack of people who are involved in developing other match officials. So that I can relate with having that feeling of developing others and helping others reach those goals. But when you were doing when you were in school and college and so on. By the way, I can't see your American accent. Although
Really?
you're more of a UK accent, so that's pretty nice. Well, why sports, and why do you think, what makes sports so unique and unites people?
Well, as a socializing entity, there's nothing like it. Obviously, as human beings, we live in tribes, we live in groups, and there's nothing like sports that will actually get a bunch of people together trying to achieve the same thing. There are lots of other things that we sort of got to do. So we'll go to school. We might go to some higher education in university or college or whatever it is. We might sort of get a job that demands that we collaborate and we actually go and sort of work in teams and stuff like that. But I mean, 99% of the sports is amateur, is collaboration, is because people want to go and do it, and that is just something that it cannot be replicated in any other social entity among us human beings. It's something really special, and I think. I mean, if you look at what's going on nowadays with the whole COVID-19 and stuff like that, I would probably say around 70-80% of what people are giving kids to do whilst they're at home is going to do with sports and the arts. And they're usually two of the subjects that get relegated the quickest when they're going to cut budgets and things like that. So it's interesting. As I said, I've always loved sports. I think it brings something to the table that nothing else brings. I play loads of sports. My family play quite a few sports. My dad played basketball and row. So probably you cannot pick up two apologies if you hear my daughter screaming like this in the background in the garden. She's trying to.
I should apologize for stealing your time,
No, you're
which
absolutely
was
fine. You're
supposed to be
absolutely
her
fine.
time.
I think she's trying to climb with her bike on her slide, which is going to end up in tears. But anyway, Mommy's out there. Mommy's out there.
That's
But
good.
yeah, going back to it, it's something really special, and yeah, I think it won't go away very quickly. And there's lots of talk about people spending time inside and doing other things, but I think sports will always be there. I think if you look at big events around the world that are sports related, it'll be hard to replicate those in any other environment. So yeah, in one sentence, I think it's something really special.
Sweet. I mean, I can't doubt that, and it's I enjoy that myself. And taking away to go away a little bit from the science part, because coaching, as refereeing, as playing, and so on, it's more on the science side of the sport. What about the Juan the entrepreneur? When Because we're talking now, we'll dig deeper a little bit into South America
Yeah.
coaching and what you're doing over there, and how you're helping federations, organizations, and so on all over the world, and what are the challenges that you're
Mm-hmm.
facing. What when was the moment you told yourself, because that was like 3 years ago, that hey, look, I don't want to, because at that point, from our earlier conversations, is that you're working with RFU, with Northampton Saints, and so on. What was the moment that you thought, I want to open South America coaching? Can you share
Yeah, and I'll tell
your
you what,
journey?
I'll recommend the book if you don't mind. The Power of
Absolutely.
Moments from Chip Heath and Dan Heath. I think it's a fantastic book, and I've actually read it a couple of times. And it was a very powerful moment the day that I was in a professional rugby club here in the UK. Lots of things were changing around the organisation. And in a way, I could see it coming my way, if that makes sense. So I started looking for alternatives. I got offered a couple of jobs. I applied for a couple of jobs, but none of it was actually nothing was keeping me awake at night saying, oh, I cannot wait to start this job. Or if I get this job, I cannot wait to get started. So I knew it wasn't the right thing. And I was fortunate enough to discuss it many times with my wife, and she was very supportive. And again, I think the power of those moments are, are supported by your loved ones. There is no doubt about that. And when we sat down, we looked at the options, and there were a couple of jobs that were there. I was going to go and start the next Monday or whatever, and it just didn't fit the mold. It just didn't get me buzzing. So I decided to go my own way, and it was a big jump when I went from education to professional sports. That was another powerful moment in my life. And then sort of being told, okay, you're not going to carry on with your current role. So I got changed around a couple of times, and then I was told, look, you're not going to carry on, full stop. That was quite powerful. So I had a plan already for that because I saw it coming, and the plan was to found the company. Um, I have been working unofficially through my own means, without a branding, without a company name, without a website or social media, etc., etc., for quite a number of years before that. But I've never charged it. I never saw it as work. It was something that I sort of put together for some friends and some connections, and people inviting me to the organization, saying, "Oh, would you mind doing this?" And it was okay. And I still remember the day that somebody came saying, "Well, how much do we owe you for that?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. So I can actually turn this into a business." And that's when everything started a couple of years ago. So since that day, obviously I founded the name with South America Coaching, which means South America, obviously in Spanish. I thought all my clients were going to be based there. It sort of got me back to my roots. But about 50% of the clients we've got today are beyond South America. And yeah, about 10% of them will be international, so they'll be in many countries, and the other 40% will actually be in the rest of the world. So I think we've done every single continent apart from Antarctica, obviously. But so yeah, it's been hectic. It's been very demanding. I've done a number of miles and flights in the last 2 years and a half. And yeah, it's been fantastic. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. There's been some challenges for sure. There's been some really.
Yeah, if you can, if that was actually what I wanted to, and
Yeah,
sorry for
yeah, yeah,
interrupting. I just wanted to jump on here, and we have a lot of guys and gals out there who are really into closer to the sport, like as you are, or for example, from my perspective as a referee, I am, and looking for opportunities like this. And I really think it'll be really valuable if you could share your challenges, or what mistakes to avoid, whenever starting this kind of thing on the way.
yeah. Cool. I think obviously starting your own thing, you become your own organization, which it was a challenge in itself. So I was very comfortable in the organizations I used to work for. So somebody paid my taxes for me, somebody worked all those things out. Somebody worked out things like insurance and I don't know, child vouchers and all those things that were worked out. So magically, at the end of every month, things just happen. And there's a number of things behind that I had to go and get help on. So starting doing my own accountancy, and then I was able to get an accountant to come help me, doing all my design kind of things. So following tutorials online on how to use different tools to go and design flyers and things like that. Building my own website. And then obviously I got somebody to support us with that, but everything from scratch. So those were all little challenges. Well, some of them weren't that little really, on its own. And then budgeting and getting things to work out, and being able to pay the mortgage and things like that. That was a challenge, obviously. Not knowing what's your income every month, that's a challenge on itself. So you got to start planning ahead. So I would say before everything kicked off a couple of months ago, I had things booked for November 2021. So almost working a year and a half in front. And again, that didn't happen overnight. That took some time. So yeah, I mean, challenges. We could do hours of your podcast on challenges. I think surrounding yourself by some people that have been through the journey, I think is crucial. Some of my former colleagues in the RFU, they now go their own businesses, and obviously connecting with them and asking for advice. I think I'll be, and I always say this, I think I'll be a much better professional, coach, dad, whatever sort of role you want to find us. I'll be a lot better at it if I would have asked a lot more questions. And I sort of, you say, what's your biggest regret? I think that is my biggest regret, not asking enough questions. So yeah, I sort of understood that quite late, and I think this would be a lot more successful nowadays if I would have asked loads of questions back in those days. But yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I've got loads of support around me.
Definitely a lot of credit to your family and to your friends for supporting you. And now we all going through this pandemic area, and we think, and we don't know when we're going to go back to normal. And personally, I got myself few international tournaments canceled, and 1 month ago I was supposed to referee an international match in Bosnia. So we all lose. I think all it's a time when we're thinking and kind of reconsider also where we're going, and how is South America and personally you are adapting to those new norms or new normal world that is going to be ahead of us. Like what are you doing? I saw on your social that you're doing a lot of webinars to connect with all your customers or all the clients you're working with online, and trying to support them in these challenging times, even though they're not training. But it's still great to keep going. So what are you doing, and how are you still making it sustainable in the long
well
term?
it hasn't been easy, that's for sure. The week that we went into lockdown here in the UK, I was flying to South America. So exactly a week before my flight, everything went down. So I had a couple of weeks with a number of events in South America, in Argentina and Chile, and I was going across to Uruguay for the first time in a long time, since I was in school actually. I was going to go and work with some organizations there that included clubs, that included schools, some universities, and a couple of NGBs as well. So that obviously all got cancelled. On the back of that, my family was staying out there. I had a couple of weeks in Asia, again working with similar organizations, and then I was coming back and I had 5-6 days in America. So obviously those 2 months went very quickly. I had things planned for Asia, especially in China in July. That got cancelled really early. I think by the sort of end of last year. And yeah, there's loads of things. I mean, I still got, I'm very, very hopeful, and I got things booked for August and September onwards. We had a few conferences that got cancelled with some independent schools and some organizations here in the UK. But again, I mean, all these people are jumping online, and they're using all these tools and Zooming and doing all those bits. I mean, that's for me, it's common currency. I've been mentoring online for the last couple of years. I've been doing webinars and things like that with lots of organizations for some time now. Obviously, what's changed is that a lot more people are jumping on them. I think at the beginning it was all like a high fever kind of thing. Everybody was jumping on everything. People are a little bit more selective and tired nowadays. So what we're putting out there, again, it's a little bit more selective. We got a session of webinars starting next week. It's all international coaches with simultaneous translation. So again, I mean, there's lots of people using their Instagram Live. There's lots of people using the free version of Zoom and stuff like that. But what we're trying to do is gone to the next step. Obviously, there's a bit of investment behind that. And that investment comes back in terms of people's contacts and people's getting in touch. So, when are you next around our area and stuff like that, which is really good. But again, there is some investment. I mean, we're bringing on a professional interpreter to translate for these people. It would have been a lot easier for me to go and say, okay, well, I'll translate onto Spanish or whatever the language. And we do it like that, but obviously the experience of the participant would have been the best. So that's what we're trying to get to. But again, being hopeful. Got things booked on from sort of towards the end of the summer and see where we're going. Lots of people might be thinking I'm being very hopeful, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, and then just trying to explore different opportunities. I mean, I tend to see things as opportunities all the time, and people keep asking me, "Oh, what would you be doing with your players? What would you be doing with your sales team? Or what would you be doing with your pupils, or whatever the environment is?" And my answer keeps being the same one. I mean, I would try to look to things that we cannot normally do. And perhaps we can pass the ball against the wall 100 times at any moment in time, not just now. So what opportunities is this I don't know what to call it, era or situation worldwide actually bringing to our doorstep?
Yeah, and I think this period is just helping us becoming more creative, and finding new ways to potentially finding new business lines.
I mean,
do
you
right?
think you would have founded your own podcast if this wouldn't be going on?
Maybe.
Exactly.
But it definitely personally made me work from home, and at one point I just thought, like, why should I only consume information when I have a story to share? When I have my own story to share, and potentially bring value to other people out there, and that's when the idea came up, and that's why you hear, and all other next guests on the next
don't worry,
people,
this is gonna get better with time, don't worry.
Yeah, and it's actually thanks, because you're the first guest on the podcast, so that's going to be the first episode.
Oh wow, you can always go, you can only go high from here, you can only go upwards from here.
No, it wasn't to go higher than that. It's just I think all people out there have a story to share, even if that person is 15 or 40 or 70 years old. So when getting back a little bit to the to what we're talking about, and moving from being an entrepreneur towards the notion which a lot of people heard of, but I'm not sure if they know what it means. But what do you think of intrapreneurship? When you're doing things from the inside the company, what's your thoughts?
Do I have
about
time
it?
to go and Google
and
it?
how
do
you
I have time to go and Google the actual word? I don't know the actual word of the word. I would say you just go and do things. You just go and try things.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, there is this old sort of saying about inventors, and until you actually invent something, you're an inventor. Where I don't really agree with it. I think you need to try things. I'm a massive believer in trial and error, and that's how I try
Hmm.
to develop others that I work with. Because I'd be an absolute hypocrite if I go and say, okay, this is exactly how you guys should be coaching or teaching, because that's not what I want them doing with their participants, with their players or pupils or whoever they are. I want them to make the experience participant centered, so child center, sales group center, or whatever it is. I think it's just a
Right.
matter of trying different things and see what works. Again, surrounding yourself with people that have been through the journey, I think it's crucial. Not to copy and paste, but to get sort of their impressions, their reflections on their experiences. I think that's really important, and perhaps to go and challenge some of them as well. And if somebody tells you a really good method and a really good process that is working for them, perhaps you can go and tweak it. You can make it your own, or you can do exactly the opposite, just to see how it works.
Are you having someone on your team who is really not knowledgeable, but like tries to put his switch on or his charm on the methods of coaching, or the what type of services you're providing
Yeah,
to the clients, like because definitely you're the founder and you have your ways to do it, but the team behind you, uh, do you embrace the fact that there are some other guys who are, like, hey Juan, is like we can add this and would be more effective or something like that? Do you have this kind of
it'd be
of a
really
team
awkward
behind
if
you?
I say no, but just in case somebody's listening. No, no, I actually got lots of. I mean, I can approach this from many angles. I got lots of people that I'm paying wages to, so I'm subcontracting, and they're really talented individuals, and some of them will be even more
Right.
talented in the future, no doubt, hands down. I've worked with lots of people that have been mentors for me, people that have actually been at the top of their game quite early, and then they came off it for different reasons, and they're still supporting me. I've got a mentor, and she's 86 years old. And she was one of the ladies that I defended my first thesis in front of a tribunal to get my master's. And I'm still in touch with her. I'll speak to her like once a month and stuff like that. She loves Skyping. She's not a big fan of Zoom, I must say that. But no, she's really good. And look, I mean, again, I think getting on board with these people and being part of of what they actually want to do. So, I mean, I've got no doubt some of my mentors will really look forward to having conversations, because they know they're making a massive impact on me. And in a way, that's what I try to do with the people that I mentor. So if they're really looking forward to the conversation, they're really looking forward for me to go and spend some time in their environment, and we can have a cup of tea together, or perhaps something to eat, and then we can exchange, and we can both get better. Then happy days. I mean, I wouldn't have any mentees if you ring me up and say, look, I want you to be my mentee. In your case, we share the same sport, so rugby union. I want you to be my mentor or my coach. How I coach referees or whatever. And if I don't feel our relationship is going to add to both of us, then I don't think I would pursue that mentee relationship or that program. I mean, hands down, no word of a lie. I would have. I've got 20 something mentees going on at the moment in terms of programs from different sports, and a couple of them in education. And I cannot wait to have conversations with them. And obviously, we're talking a lot more often nowadays. And they don't get to go and execute, to call it somehow. So they don't get to go on the pitch. They don't get to go and teach in their classrooms and stuff like that. So some of them are coaching virtually. Some of them are e-learning or e-teaching or stuff like that. And they really miss it, and they really miss it. And the fact that they really miss it tells me that A, they're really passionate about what they're doing, and B, they really want to get better at what they do. So yeah, I think I'm ranting a little bit. So if I go too far away from your question, let me know. I'm very good at that.
No, no, you're not. I really think that finding people who have the same vision or the same at least base of how they do the things is aligning to how you do the things. I think at least having the base, it's really important towards going
Yeah,
together ahead. So having a little bit of vision together, and as you mentioned, you got 20, 27 or up to 30 subcontractors who you're working with, and helping a lot of organizations and federations out there who are to get better
yeah,
quality coaching. So that's tremendous. And for those, because this podcast has one of the missions is to help young gals and guys out there who wants to get into the either being an entrepreneur in sports business. So like, for example, you did, right? Or to start a career as
hmm
in sports business. And personally, I just found out how big, really big the sports industry is. At the beginning, I thought it's only potentially the TV, the broadcasting, what's happening on the field, operations of events and stuff like that. But when, for example, I went to complete my MBA last year in Madrid, I
yeah.
was shocked. So I was I was like,
That's
okay,
huge.
there's this, there's
Absolutely.
that. So I was really excited. Yeah. And it made me even more confused of what I want to do. So I know for sure I want to be in sports, but what especially what specifically you want to do, that's key. So I think it's having, and from now on this podcast, to have guests from different backgrounds will be interesting to give their insights to those listeners out there who want to make a choice and go with it. And but I still think personally that if you're, for example, my age, like I'm 26, if you're until in your 20s, 30s, you can still taste a lot of stuff, and then
Yeah,
go
for
with
sure.
what makes you happy.
Well, if I had to
So
give any advice to
it's-
my 26-year-old, uh, I would probably say don't
yeah,
specialize too early. Don't commit yourself
right.
to only one thing. I think it's great if we look at great models like your Googles or your Apples or your things like that. They will have loads of employees. I would say the majority of their employees that they could be in many different areas within the same organization. And I think, I mean, going back to my world, which is coaching, there's lots of young coaches calling themselves, or I'm an attack coach, or I'm a defense coach, or I can only train other referees. Well, I think if you're good at training, there's no reason why you could be doing a bit of first aid or a bit of coaching or a bit of refereeing or whatever the area is. I think the content is completely absolute. Really, I don't if you go and read your stuff and then you know what to deliver on, then if you're good at delivering, then you can probably deliver almost everything you do. So yeah, I'll come across lots of young coaches that are really really talented coaches, really talented teachers as well, and they say, well, this is my subject, I'm really passionate about X subject, I'm really passionate about this. Well, that's great, but don't let yourself go too deeply into that too early. That would be my patronizing advice, really.
And when we're talking about those guys who want to get inside the sports, like either on the coaching, the science, or the business side, what do you think are the skills that make that difference between a good and not so good, or what should people out there work on in order to get themselves
Yeah, I
noticed?
think having
What do you
having lots
think
of
those would be?
intellectual curiosity is a great asset. I think there's one of those huge stats going around that most CEOs out there will actually find things like creativity, an absolute fundamental pillar of somebody they want within their organization. So intellectual curiosity, I think going out and putting yourself out there as a creative individual, giving things a go, being able to deal with lots of frustration and things not going your way. I mean, I've been sacked from a couple of jobs. I was almost sacked from a job within 3 days of being in that job, and all that was before 30. And I was like, well, at the time I was quite cross with myself because I thought I was handling myself in a way I shouldn't. But then I started realizing that all that gave me lots of experience, and actually getting fired from my second time was actually the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know people say that, and it's a bit of a cliche thing. And you go and read all some great autobiographies, and that would be in the first chapter. But honestly, it was fantastic. I mean, it just opened a whole range. I mean, I became more curious. I started asking a lot more questions. I started reaching out and connecting people. So since we started the lockdown, and I think it's over 70 days now here in the UK, I've connected 2 individuals every single day, if not more. So I've got a coach from this country with a coach from another country. Perhaps they're not in the same sports, but I think there's some sort of connection. And I've just created about 70 WhatsApp groups. And then I exit the actual group. So I connect them and say, off you go, guys. And then I leave the group. And I know some of them are actually, I could think of a couple of examples that they're actually working together 70 days after that in different initiatives. So, yeah, I think I started connecting lots more people since that. I became curious, like I'd say. I became a little bit more creative, I would say. And then I think my organizational skills actually went through the roof, because if I didn't file my invoices, if I didn't reach out to the accountant, if I didn't, I don't know, if I didn't put out the right flyer on the right day or whatever that is. And again, I've made loads of mistakes and I've missed loads of things in the middle. But I think getting to grips with some processes and reevaluating those processes, not letting them be sort of going down on some sort of Bible and them being there forever. I think touching base with them quite often is very healthy. So just a quick one. I used to sort of have loads, all my clients on my wall, like I've got here in my office. So there were about 100 of post-its, with names of people, and I started using little cords to connect them as well. And then I realized that wasn't working. I was missing quite a few bits. So I went digital, and everything is in a database and stuff like that. And I keep sort of nurturing that database. And again, that was a process that I had to review. If I've still had the post-its on the wall, I think I'll be missing even more. So there we go.
Absolutely. And all this COVID situation is just making us again adjusting what we do towards new norms and adapting to, for example, new ways of coaching, even if that's going to be e-coaching, if travels are not going to reopen until I don't know, end of the year or something like that. So hopefully sooner the better, but you never know what's going to happen. And when we're talking about sports events, because part of the events is the players themselves, and if games are not going to happen, or behind the closed doors, they're still going to play. So the coaching is still going to be out there to be done. So I really think so, and I believe so. Juan, and if some of our listeners would want to connect with you, because definitely as we go with this podcast, we'll try to get questions on here and ask followers and listeners questions. But as it is the first episode, I believe it's just it's going to be fun further on. But right now is if someone wants to connect with you, or drop you a line and ask anything they desire in this particular area regarding potential business, challenges that you have when you open the business, or asking for advice, or in general coaching in rugby or any other sports, because you're not only
That's
doing
correct.
rugby,
That's
as I
correct. Yeah.
know, as you as you mentioned, there are some values and not theories, but some values, let's say, that are staying on a base of sports, which
Yeah,
has to be trained, and then it goes from there. The ramification, if either that's rugby, football,
for sure.
hockey,
Yeah.
netball, and so on. And right, and what would be those? If you can share your
Yeah, I
where's
think
the best way
social
to
media is,
connect with you?
is
That'd
probably
be
the
awesome.
best way. Where I'm on Twitter and Instagram on at SUD Coaching, so Sud Coaching, and then on Facebook,
Hmm.
LinkedIn, and there's a YouTube channel as well. Is South America Coaching. My email is j.gonzalez.mendia@sudamericacoaching.com. It is probably one of the longest email in the world, so I don't know if you could add it to the notes on the podcast, or however.
Yeah, absolutely. If you give them to me,
Yeah.
I'll
And we got a
I'll
website. We got
attach
a
them
website
to
as
the
well, which is
description. And
sudamericacoaching.com, and all the contact details are there as well. So, yeah, anybody that wants to reach out, to have a conversation, perhaps to get connected with other people, you're always keen, always willing to have conversations and ask people uncomfortable questions and things like that. So there we go.
yeah, yeah, and I really believe this COVID situation just made us more and more open. Like, I see from my perspective, from what I do at my job and so on. Like, people are more open to conversations, maybe because they're saving this 2 hours of
Yeah, yeah,
driving to work and home or something like that. But people are just more open, and I really appreciate that. And maybe that's why I
brilliant.
decided to open the
Well,
podcast.
well
You
done,
never
you.
you never know why
Well done, you, mate.
what magic went through my head.
You've done really well. First experience, and as I said before,
No, thank you,
it can
I
only go
appreciate
upwards
that.
from this guest. This is your level 0 guest. You'll get to boss level very soon.
It was great to have Juan Gonzalez Mendia, the founder of South America Coaching, nearside me, even though it was thousands of miles away from me. But definitely would looking forward to catch up for a beer, and get to talk to you very soon. Thank you, Juan. You stay safe,
Cool, mate. All the
and
best.
thanks again for
Thanks
joining.
again.
As in the end of the podcast, I really appreciate everyone who is taking the time to leave a written review to give context to other people why this is a worthwhile podcast. Even more fun, because I really think we all love a